This is NewsBreak26 in Southwest New Brunswick. I'm Vicki Hogarth. Here's what's happening in our part of the world. Across the globe and right here in Southwest New Brunswick, Black Lives Matter rallies and marches have amplified public concern about police brutality and systemic racism.
A police officer sat with his knee on his neck for 8 minutes.
On Friday afternoon, close to 250 people participated in a Black Lives Matter march in St. Stephen that began at the Charlotte County Mall.
I can't breathe! I can't breathe! I can't breathe!
Participants marched down King Street to Milltown Boulevard, where they took a knee for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. The now infamous amount of time a Minneapolis police officer knelt on the neck of George Floyd before he died, despite repeatedly telling the officers at the scene, quote, "I can't breathe." The St. Stephen Black Lives Matter March was organized by 17-year-old high school students Hillary Russell and Megan Haley, who felt it was important to stand in solidarity with activists around the world in acknowledging that all lives can't matter until Black lives do.
I figured that a walk would have good impact because after speaking to other people that organize rallies, they said, do it right now and do it with this movement that's happening worldwide right now. And there's always room to, keep the ball rolling and provide more educational opportunities for the public.
What has been remarkable about the international Black Lives Matter movement of 2020 is that people of different backgrounds from around the world, from Germany, Israel, Jamaica, and Japan to small-town New Brunswick, have been compelled to unite across borders to use their voices against racism.
I didn't want to stay silent. You see those quotes that say, like, silence is violence, and at some point your silence is betrayal, and I didn't want to be a part of that. So I had the idea to have one here, and I wanted it to be a part of this community because we don't have much diversity, but we have a lot of love.
In response to the outpouring of support across New Brunswick for Black Lives Matter rallies and marches such as in St. Stephen, an official Black Lives Matter chapter has been formed in New Brunswick that plans to continue constructive dialogue surrounding racism and social inequality in our communities. Premier Higgs acknowledged the existence of systemic racism in New Brunswick at a press conference on Monday.
We certainly have to recognize the challenges we're having here in our province, the systematic racism that seems to be part of our society and has been for generations.
Higgs' acknowledgement of systemic racism in the province came in the wake of the death of Rodney Levi, an Indigenous man who was shot and killed by New Brunswick RCMP on Friday night, just 8 days after Chantel Moore was shot and killed by Edmundston police during a wellness check.
I think Friday night changed things for a lot of people, and including myself.
Levi's death prompted Higgs to withdraw Bill 49, an emergency bill that would have given the Cabinet the power to override provincial and municipal legislation during a state of emergency. The bill would have also given police the authority to stop anyone in the province to ask them for documentation to ensure they're complying with the emergency order.
But in relation to what's happening in our province, across our country, certainly in our neighboring country in the U.S., I think it's important now to focus on the healing process and certainly what needs to take place in order to ensure that we can identify some of the chronic concerns maybe that have lasted for generations that have not been effectively dealt with.
As part of his commitment to constructive dialogue surrounding systemic racism in New Brunswick, Higgs will join 4 of his ministers at a previously scheduled meeting with Indigenous chiefs this week.
This must be a time for us as a government to listen. Together, we can take an important step forward in addressing issues and making lasting changes.
In the coming weeks, I'll be sitting down with Chief Hugh Akagi and others for a CHCO roundtable on racism in New Brunswick. That's all the news I have for you. For more stories and live stream New Brunswick COVID-19 conferences, follow us on Facebook at CHCO.TV.
A news and public affairs production of CHCO-TV, New Brunswick's only source for independent community television.